How's it going, everybody? My name is Sinikle, and welcome back to Higurashi, When They Cry. So, last video was quite a short one. I apologize. Was testing something out with my mic. It does not indeed catch my AC going off. So, yeah, we're all set to go. And I do plan on making this a little bit of a long one, if I can. We'll see where the next, I guess we'll call them intermission is, because usually goes into a different scene, and I like to cut off there. We'll find out. We'll see. We'll see. I hope to aim between like 40 minutes to an hour. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue from where we last left off. Hotel Moderato. Despite its name, it had a cheap stained sign out front. A dilapidated business hotel on the outskirts of town. The perfect place for someone to lay low in. Oh, okay. Kind of like undercover work. They might draw in some guests if they renovated the building into a more modern love hotel. But it was clear they didn't have the capital for renovations and could go under any minute. What does that even mean? Alright. That's the kind of hotel it was. Tamatake was staying in one of the rooms on the second floor. The interior of the room was worse than his previous hotel. It only had a bed and a phone. But that phone was what he needed the most at the moment. If he didn't have to receive regular reports, he would keep changing hotels, which was safer. But he needed up-to-date information from the research division, and his course of action would change according to that information. Moving about unnecessarily might cause miscommunication in case of emergency. Tamatake never suspected that there was a spy in the research division. The ticking sound from the clock echoed throughout the room. It was almost 9 a.m., but the phone might not ring at 9 on the dot. Tamatake waited in front of the phone patiently. He tried to organize the information in his head so he could answer questions more calmly. At the same time, he kept in mind the possibility of an attack. At that time, he heard a woman scream in the distance. It happened again. He heard another scream. Tamatake got the sense that something was happening inside this hotel. His intuition told him that someone was checking every single room with the master key. Tamatake opened the curtain a little. He saw several mountain dogs who were blocking all the ways out of the hotel. How long had they been here? Finally. They had finally found where he was. Tamatake could hear their loud footsteps. He heard voices too. Oh. This cheap hotel wouldn't have chains on the door. They had no means to fend off the master key. Tamatake could tell there were around 20 of them. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. No, maybe even more. Oh, overkill. Overkill, people. Goddamn. Just one man. One lonely man. It would be no use trying to fight with them. All he could do was hide. Under the bed. Or in the bathroom. At the very least, the ceiling wouldn't open like in the movies. Like what? You mean like a vent? I mean, that would come in handy, yeah. Should he jump out the window? Second story floor. Probably a sprained ankle, if he can land it just right, you know. It was the second floor after all. It was perfectly possible to survive a jump. Yes, it would be. They would be expecting that, however. Yet this was right on city grounds. If he was confident in his legs, it wouldn't be impossible to outrun them. Oh, well, that's an option. Outrun them, go! Tamatake soon heard footsteps outside his door. Well, you gotta choose now what you're doing there, buddy. This was it. Is he staying and fighting, or is he jumping out the window? He jumped up from the... Oh! He jumped out the window. Of course, there was mountain dogs on the ground waiting for him. They pointed, and about 6 of them started running after him. Tamatake shot off right from the position he landed in. So he landed perfectly fine. Okay, thanks for that info. This took the mountain dogs by surprise. He had started a dash right after he jumped from the 2nd floor window. Tamatake was prepared to do something like that. He had been training in case of an emergency, just like this one here.
Hibari ten yori Hibari 1 標的発見追跡中応援求む Hibari 1より白鷺標的は裏通りを西に向かい逃走制圧しろ白鷺了解白鷺234そっちへ行くぞ
Oh my god, just for one man?
やつだ
3 members of the mountain dogs jumped out from behind the streetlight. Excuse me, what? Fucking cartoon fucking looking ass, what the fuck? 3 men. You're telling me 3 people jumped out from behind a tiny little streetlight? Yeah, okay. Cartoon heaven ass. What the fuck is this shit? And stood in Tamatake's way. They prepared for him to stop, but Tamatake kept running at full speed. Yeah, plow through them. They quickly realized he wasn't running towards them to knock them down. He was trying to run past them. There was no point in them taking a fighting position. They lowered themselves and tried to tackle him simultaneously. Oh shit. Tamatake jumped over them. He jumped over them like an Olympic athlete. Really now. Alright, Olympic athlete leaping over a hurdle. But he wasn't an Olympic athlete. And they weren't hurdles. No, not at all. Tamatake's heel struck one of the dogs. The 2 flanking Tamatake thought they'd seized hold of him. However, as he flew over them easily, he grabbed onto the 2 of their heads and smashed them against each other. Okay, there, Mr. Karate Kid. Perfect. Tamatake knew that this wouldn't stop them, but at least he'd gain a little time to run. Such a Chad.
2つ先のブロックを左折で9時方向に奴を捕らえる大丈夫かくそー逃がすなあの野郎なんてバカ力だくそ話が止まらねえ
Good. Tamatake saw a van with its door wide open ahead of him. Oh my god, stranger danger. He couldn't stop in time. And it hit the wheel. What? Oh, that's talking about the van. Well, you already said it's out. I'm so confused. Whatever, okay. As soon as it stopped, several mountain dogs jumped out of the van. I'm so sorry. That fucking line confused the hell out of me because it explained that it was like standing still right there, but no, I guess it was still moving when the doors open. I don't. Whatever. Okay. Whatever. Tamatake saw 5 men ahead of him. Oh yeah, I could take all 5 at once. What? But he didn't. Okay. But he didn't think even those 5 could stop him. Why do trains sound their horn at people on the rails? It's not because the train will get damaged, it's because the people will get hurt. So is he running while holding his zip like that? Cute. He yelled at them like a horn on a train. He wasn't warning them because they were in his way. He was warning them to move so that they didn't get hurt. Did I just say something? They're your enemies. Why give a rat's ass? Like, they're literally trying to grab you. Possibly, well, not possibly. They're gonna kill you. They will. after they get a little bit more information of how people found out about their plans, right? But anyways, yeah, they're fully on planning on killing you. Why? Why warn them and tell them that you guys might get hurt if you continue standing there? Please move to the side. Bitch, no. Motherfucker Tamatake. Okay, princess. Okay. I don't want anyone to get hurt, even though they're planning on killing me. Shut up. Tamatake didn't grin. After all, trains don't grin. Okay, they don't. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. They don't scream either. Okay, straight up to his chest. Thanks for that. Let me go ahead and motorboat. Yeah, I love motorboating some nice, manly pecs. Oh yeah. Don't clip that, I swear to God. Captured him. Okay, well. I'm gonna drink to that. Tamatake, you're a dumbass. Unfortunately, it's not alcohol, but water. Yeah, I'm sure you do. And then after that... Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you do there, princess. The phone continued to ring inside of Tamatake's empty hotel room. Oh. Well, I guess no one really said he was smart. Kind of expected him to be a little bit smarter than that, though. Within 30 minutes, Tamatake was dragged through the back door of the Erie Institute, wearing a gag and handcuffs. Tamatake didn't even move, as though he was sedated. The Mountain Dog members had carried him out of the van. Erie saw Tamatake from his window and came out of his office in a hurry. Takano was already there! Oh, goody! The Mountain Dog silently glared at Erie. He realized that he shouldn't have left his room. He's gone terminal. Terminally a dumber. Okay. Oh my god. Of course, Tamatake didn't reply. Erie decided not to say any more. Erie already knew. The Mountain Dogs had tracked him down. Erie wasn't sure if Tamatake was able to arrange something with Tokyo. He wasn't even sure if the Bloodhounds had been called in. He could guess that Tamatake didn't have time. If the Bloodhounds were called in, the Mountain Dogs would catch that information. And if that was the case, they would likely drop everything and run. But Tamatake was captured and they brought him back to the Institute. That meant it hadn't gotten that far, and they were still trying to fix the damage. In other words, Tamatake wasn't able to do what they had hoped for. Badge. What were they going to do to Tamatake? Since they brought him back alive, were they planning to torture a confession out of him? That would be very dangerous for him. He'd likely end up dead.
I'm sorry to tell you there, sweet cheeks, but that's the plan there, sugar tits.
Iri realized that he had to do something in Tamatake's place. The main reason why Iri had to rescue Tamatake was because he had no way of contacting Tokyo on his own. Takano wanted Iri to be useless, so she never told him about how to get in touch with Tokyo. Iri could receive phone calls from Tokyo, but he could only call them through Takano. Therefore, Tamatake was the key. Unless Iri rescued him, they couldn't possibly win. But Iri wasn't like the mountain dogs. He was simply a researcher. There was no way Iri could rescue Tamatake from such a high security area. There were 8 mountain dogs in the building. There were usually only 2, but Takano had called in more. Of course, the basement was a highly secured area, and one needed an access card to get in. That card was only given to people in Iri's position. In addition to the access card, one would need a fingerprint match as well. The access card alone wouldn't do it. Therefore, only one person who could rescue Tamatake was that high security basement was Iri. And so, even if it was impossible, Iri had to do it. Iri bunched up his hands into fists and held them tight to encourage himself. But he only noticed that his fists were shaking. Iri, did you forget? Iri remembered what Akasaka had told him. Yes, what was that? Flashback? Yes.
ただ、自らの危機を測るのはとても難しいことです。まだ大丈夫、多分大丈夫などと思っているうちに連絡の機会さえ逃してしまいかねません。少しでも嫌な予感がしたら緊急時と判断していいでしょう。陰謀の度合いから考えて敵は私たちを生かしはしません。くれぐれもご用心を。
Iri felt the cold sweat pooling on his back. Was this the emergency Akasaka was talking about? He shouldn't think that it was still okay. He might lose the chance to run. He realized that trying to do something by himself was foolish. He had his security access card, true. But that didn't mean he had to rescue Tamatake by himself. Just like how everyone else was trying to combine their efforts, he should also ask for help. Also, Tamatake was in their hands, which meant that the mountain dogs had realized they were under attack, and were preparing to counter. It was very possible that they were suspicious of Iri too. Once they broke into Rika's house, Iri's lies would be exposed. Indeed. This was the emergency Akasaka was talking about. Iri had realized that. He was already in danger. He needed to leave immediately. The Sonozaki residence was their gathering spot in case of an emergency. His allies were congregating at the Sonozaki residence. He should explain the situation to them and think about how to rescue Tamatake. Takano probably wouldn't kill Tamatake immediately. She was intending to kill him that night, as the 5th year's curse, so there was still a little time left. He had allies, and with his security access card, there was still a chance to rescue him. Iri had to let Akasaka know that he was escaping. Wait, what? Iri had to let Akasaka know that he was escaping. Okay. If they became suspicious of Iri, they would check the house, and Akasaka would be in danger too. In other words, it could cause a chain reaction. Iri didn't miss his last chance to escape, but he still had to do his final job. Iri picked up the phone at his desk, called Rika's home number, and left. There it is. And so, it has begun. It would continue to ring like that, sounding the emergency signal. Eri thought back to when he wondered how long he was going to stay in his director's room. In this director's room. He never knew this day would come so suddenly. He noticed the framed picture of his parents on his desk. Eri had become a doctor so he could clear up the misunderstanding between his parents and regain his family ties. But how did he get involved in something like this? No. He would return. He would return and continue the fight against Hinamizawa syndrome. He vowed to himself that he would never abandon that responsibility.
必ず戻ってくるよ。父さん、母さん。
Eri said his final goodbye and left the director's office.
さんさ、所長室の内線から外線へ通話中です。電話番号は R 宅です。
え？どういうことそれは？盗聴できるの？
もちろんです。ここでもモニターできます。
One of the members flipped a switch. There was the sound of a ringtone.
一体このタイミングで入江所長は何をあの家に電話しようというの？
やはり R は在宅していて、富武を捕らえたことを連絡しようとしているのでは。
ありえないことじゃないわ。聞かれてるとも知らずに。
What was Eri going to talk about? Takano waited patiently to eavesdrop on a conversation, and there was nothing but a ringtone. It had been over 30 seconds. There was no answer. Nobody was home.
所長も根気がありますね。必ずいるはずだという強い確信があるのでしょうか。さんさ、裏口のモニターカメラに所長の姿が。
The black and white quad display monitor, okay, showed Eri running out of the back door.
どういうこと？じゃあ誰が所長室から電話をしているの？
Takano became utterly confused, but the ringtone continued. It couldn't be. Takano finally realized what was going on.
罠よ。奴は私たちが監視しているのを知ってて、わざと空電話をかけて油断させた。入江は裏切り者の仲間よ。
Oh shit.
捕らえて。
Oh god. No!
一回保安室。入江所長を制圧せよ。標的は裏口から
Run, bitch! Run! The two mountain dogs, who were playing cards in the security room on the first floor, jumped into action. The security room was located next to the back door, so Eri was still within reach. Oh god. Eri had made a serious mistake. Yeah, he did. He could have left the clinic during the 30 seconds Takano and her men were listening to the ringtone. But when he got to the parking lot, he realized he forgot his car key. Oh my god. You boob! You giant bubbling baboon! Okay, anyway. But when he got to the parking lot, he realized he forgot his car key on his desk in the director's office, so he had to go back and... Oh no, god damn, no! It was only at that point he realized he shouldn't have gone back. He should have escaped on foot. But Eri wasn't used to emergencies, unlike on Akasaka. Yeah, I know, man, I know. You're not familiar with this stuff, I know. But to forget your keys, man. Come on. It was a typical mistake any normal person who had never gone through anything dangerous would make. Although he made mistakes, he didn't forget to call Akasaka. So at least he's gone. He's out of the house now, hopefully. At least he should be. Any second now. People usually become extremely clumsy when they're in a rush. Yes, I know. Trust me. I know. All he had to do was to turn the key, but he couldn't even do that smoothly. He kept returning the key, and finally the engine started. Eri still thought that he was alright. even if one of them questioned him, all he would have to do would be to say that he was going to get something. That would not work at this time. No. When he released the handbrake with his sweaty left hand, he saw two of the mountain dogs dashing out the back door, and the two of them looked around. Erie's eyes met with one of theirs in the rear view mirror. He pointed at Erie's car, and the two of them started running towards it. I would start pressing the gas and get going, you fucking dumbwit. God damn it. The two of them looked extremely serious, and certainly not like they were chasing after him and turned and dropped a pen. Come on, man. Why is that the... Why? Come on. Obviously. Why are you breathing heavily, my man? Just go! Press the pedal, go! Erie's body was soaked with sweat. Now's not the time, man. Before the two of them could jump on the car, Erie stomped on the gas pedal, thank you, and the car took off after spinning its wheels. Of course, the dogs didn't give up. They got onto their own car and started to chase after Erie. Jesus Christ, now it's a highway chase. Woohoo!
所長は車両で逃走中。強制停車させますか。どうぞ。さんさ。
高野よ。おそらく行き先は古出神社ね。神社に行かれたら今日は人だらけ。捉えることは難しくなるわ。
Yes, yes.
多少の怪我も構わない。行かせてはダメ。
Don't worry about injuries. So what? You're just straight out tell this bitch. She's just straight out telling them to, yeah, go ahead and kill him before he reaches a public place. Oh, for fuck's sakes.
強引に停車させなさい。
Alright.
保安了解。これより強制停車に移る。念のためバックアップを送れ。どうぞ。本部了解。ウグイスをバックアップに送る。だがバックアップは待つな。直ちに制圧せよ。
The mountain dogs had Erie's car in their view as it ran away at full speed. They have to find a perfect spot and timing to stop him. It's not easy to drive a car while you're in a rush. Of course, the more you step on a gas pedal, the more speed you gain. But when you're in a hurry, you can't control the steering wheel well enough to escape quickly. You talking about drifting there, boy? You talking about drifting? You gotta drift well in order to turn at those sharp turns, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Learn to drive well. Learn how to drift. What the fuck am I saying? I don't know, man. Erie could see his pursuers in his rearview mirror and was completely distracted by that. He was driving carelessly. Yeah, focus your eyes on the road in front of you, my man. That's the best way you can help yourself in this situation right now. His driving was so reckless that he could easily get into an accident on his own. Yep. Okay. Well, as the fear was driving him into confusion, he made a wrong turn. God damn it. And that mistake made him even more confused and panicked.
所長、そんな運転じゃ危ねえぞ。一発で免停だぜ。
Although the two guys were ordered to stop him, they were starting to think Erie is going to get into an accident without them doing anything. Probably. They'd rather not drag this into a car chase if they didn't have to.
追跡中の保安車両へ。こちら大鳥湾。聞こえるか？
隊長だ。こちら保安車両。現在追跡中。現在地は5丁目付近林道。詳細な位置は不明。
本部要請につき、バックアップに向かってる。到達予定は15分後。こっちは当てにするな。俺だって間に合うわけねえと思ってんだ。
Okanogi grumbled. He had to leave Okonomiya in a hurry to respond to Major Princess. Nice name. But because of the distance, there was no way he could get there in time. Even so, he was still ordered to provide backup. He could have explained, but the princess wouldn't have listened to him anyways. The mountain dogs who were with Okanogi smiled bitterly.
追跡の方角は
最悪の場合町の方へ抜けます。
そいつは許すな。山狩りはしてやる。足を破壊しろ。
Jesus.
そこに人目は？武装は？
両脇は深い森林です。人目はなし。武装は保安車両常備の短期間銃が1。
The guy in the passenger seat reclined it and climbed into the back. He lifted one of the seats and took out a black machine gun. The paint on one corner was coming off, and the shiny silver metal was exposed. It was a machine gun, but it didn't look as powerful as an ordinary one. However, once the dog extended a shoulder stock and set it in place, the weapon looked far more vicious.
保安常備は MP5
MP5?
A5 か SD3 か
What the fuck? Why do you have something like that, man? God damn! The man in the backseat looked at the uniquely shaped gun barrel. It was thick and long. Oh my god. Insert penis joke here. Okay.
SD3 です。サイレンサー付き。
God damn it. Oh, a silencer too. That's, of course, yeah. Nice, nice.
発砲を許可する。
God damn it.
フルバーストでタイヤを破壊しろ。
保安車両了解。攻撃する。
Oh shit, they're going for the tires. The guy in the back seat opened up the driver's side back window and leaned out of the car. His sharp eyes aimed at one of the tires on Erie's vehicle. It was a straight road. Erie's car was weaving, but not enough to avoid a shot. The pursuers had his car in their sights. They were trying to get as close to Erie's car as possible, but they were afraid they might get caught up if it overturned. They soon decided that this was as close as they were going to get.
3カウントで発砲する。3、2、1。
English. Fire! The sound of the machine gun made a lot quieter than what people would imagine. Well, what the fuck do you think a silencer is? It's there in the name, man. Silence. Shush. Pew pew pew. But its power was unimaginable. One of the tires of Erie's car was cut to shreds and collapsed in a puff of white smoke. Because one tire collapsed all of a sudden, Erie lost control of his car. He tried to steer away, but that made things even worse. As it spun, Erie's car drove off the shoulder of the road and slid down the slope into the forest. The sound of trees breaking and the car being battered from every direction disappeared down the slope. The pursuers stopped their car and looked down after it, but the plants were growing so high it was impossible to check from there.
攻撃成功。標的車両は斜面を転落。死亡の可能性もあり。これより徒歩で追跡、制圧する。
大鳥湾了解。ウグイスが周囲を探し回ってるぞ。運が良ければ合流するだろう。こっちは相変わらず間に合わん。お前らが頼りだ。頼むぞ。
了解。更新を終わる。行くぞ。
The mountain dogs left their car and headed into the woods without hesitation. Akasaka had received a phone signal from Erie. The phone rang for over 3 minutes. The signal told Akasaka that Erie was in some kind of an emergency, and that Akasaka himself was in danger now. Takano made a mistake. He didn't realize the ringtone itself was the signal. He assumed someone staying at the house would pick up the phone eventually. Her error allowed Akasaka to perceive that extremely important forewarning. Words. Akasaka waited for exactly 3 minutes, then ran downstairs quickly. He had already put his shoes on while listening to the phone ringing. Akasaka had memorized the layout of the town from the map he kept near the phone. He knew the shortest route to the Sonozaki residence, as well as a number of alternative routes, just in case the shortest was already blocked. Good call. People would be surprised to see a stranger coming out of the house, but Akasaka didn't care about that at the moment. He had to get to the Sonozaki residence immediately. However, the observers would see him, and that was a problem. They'd soon come after him. Upon finding the house empty, they'd assumed the man who ran from it knew something. Once Akasaka left Rika's house, he had to be prepared to fight. He relaxed his shoulders and reached for the doorknob.
Sansa, R宅の監視班からです。R宅から不審な男が飛び出しました。
Bolt it, man, bolt it! Go, go, go!
何者？どうでもいいわ。追って捕らえて。
監視班了解。制圧する。
It was only 10 a.m. It was a lively morning. Many people were getting ready for the festival. Akasaka weaved through the people going in the opposite direction and ran down the stairs leading from the shrine. The mountain dogs were already chasing after him. There was a significant gulf between the happy faces of the villagers and the serious faces on Akasaka's and his pursuers. He could hear them coming up from behind him. He didn't even need to turn around to check. Akasaka held his breath, focusing all on his senses to their limits, as he sprinted even faster than he usually could with all his might. The success rate of an escape depends on the distance between the pursuer and the pursued. Even a little distance makes a difference. True. That's why you should never. And I am serious. Okay? If you're being chased, never. May God help you any way he could possibly, like, maybe scream a message into your brain. Do not, motherfucker, do not look behind you. Do not even twist your head in the slightest motion. That will make you slower, okay? Run straight, face straight ahead, or whatever, okay? Do not look back. You keep running, bitch. Oh, shit. Anyways. I need a drink of water. Oh, fuck. When you're running and you hear strangers screaming, "Run, bitch! Run!" You listen to that man. You run, bitch! Run! Okay, I'm done. Theatrics done. Akasaka ran down the bottom of the stairs like the wind. Woo! Then headed in the opposite direction, away from the Sonozaki residence. God damn it. Why? Why? Why, you boob? Why? Of course, this wasn't a mistake of his. Right. He just wanted to lose him. Sure, we'll go with that. Sure. Red Bull gives you wings. Not sponsored, by the way. But that would have been so fucking funny if all of a sudden you fucking got that commercial. Motherfucker. The observers weren't ready for the chase. They never expected a fast and fully grown man to run out of the house. They never do. What? What the fuck is that supposed to mean, Sinikle? You don't want to know. Oh shit, that's funny. They assumed it would be a little girl. That assumption was their mistake. Besides, Akasaka's locomotive-like power was nothing like that of normal people. There was no way they could catch him. The mountain dogs fell for Akasaka's trick. They called HQ, told them that he was headed in the opposite direction, and followed him that way. Akasaka was confident that he could have had them completely confused if he'd had a little more time. Not only that, he could have attacked them individually. Were there 3 pursuers? No, there were probably 4 of them. His mind, body, and skills were all in top condition, so it should be possible for him. Usually overrating oneself is dangerous, but Akasaka was above such an immature level. Resisting violently at a place other than his destination might prompt them to waste manpower and time. But Akasaka wasn't sure of the real meaning of Erie's phone signal. They were at a severe level of emergency. Akasaka had no time to waste, so he had to get to the Sonozaki residence. As Akasaka ran as fast as he could, he tried to think about the situation calmly. Could he attack them first, and then head to the Sonozaki residence? The pursuers were scattered about and running out of breath. It would not be easy to fight 4 men at the same time, but it would be different to take them one-on-one. Don't do it, man. Just fucking run, man. God damn. When Akasaka decided he had a high enough chance of winning, he took a deep breath and made a U-turn around a streetlight. God motherfucker. The mountain dogs were surprised to see that he, the man, was running away. Who was running away from them was now running towards them. They prepared themselves to fight. But before Akasaka even reached them, he already had everything all planned out in his head. He had calculated how many blows would be required to take them all out. But his calculations were wrong. Without even needing a second blow, the first pursuer dropped after one of Akasaka's legendary armor-piercing punches. Oh, shit, of course.
Yeah, this is a video game, alright.
Okay. Well, anyways. It connected with his face. And while the first was still in the air, the second armor-piercing punch took out the second pursuer. Yippee!
Falcon Punch!
There was a chorus of cicadas, which woke Erie up. Oh, we're back to Erie now. Alright. He needed a little time to realize what had just happened. His seatbelt had saved him from serious injuries. However, it was sheer luck that the metal parts of the seatbelt didn't get tangled, and that the door didn't become warped. I was about to say wrapped. What? Not wrapped. Warped. He was in the bottom of the slope, near a different forest road. Is this the first time we're seeing this road too? Alright. A new background. How cool. Erie endured the pain and removed his seatbelt. He got out of his car soon after. He heard someone walking towards him through the bushes. A pursuer. He couldn't get caught just yet. If he was captured, it would be impossible to rescue Tamatake. Not only that, nobody would even ever know that Tamatake was captured in the basement of the clinic. Even though Erie knew he was helpless, he couldn't falter here. The only thing he could do was resist them, and run as long as he could. But as long as he started to run, Erie realized it. He had no strength, his legs were shaking, and he couldn't even see straight. He had only been stepping on the gas pedal, but his lungs were about to explode, and his brain was lacking in oxygen. It had to be that certain type of exhaustion that came immediately after hyperarousal. Excuse me, what? Motherfucker, right now is not the time, man. What the fuck? Erie understood. Okay. Nope. Play it cool. Erie understood that intellectually, but he still couldn't get his body moving. He tried to run, albeit in a wobbly way. He heard a noise coming down the slope behind him. Okay, well, nope, you need to move, man. This was it. But Erie still tried to run as far as he could. God damn it. Son of a bitch. Erie heard a voice of his pursuer. Shit, he thought. What can I do? I have to run. I have to.
進むと見せかけ引いては粘る
Nah, fam, nah. Nah, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Oh, fuck. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We'll continue. Son of a bitch. Shut. Shut.
シオンさん、さっきから歌ってるその歌は何ですか？
Don't you know? It's really popular nowadays.
すみません。音楽には疎いもんで。ん？
There was a wrecked car ahead. White smoke was still visible, so the accident must have just happened. Thus I slowed it down.
どうしたの？はあ、やっちゃったですね。ってあれ、監督じゃない？
Their car stopped. The sound of the brakes startled Eerie, and he fell on his behind. I thought his never mind. Eerie was obviously the one who had been in the accident.
ハロロン、監督。
Was that a question? Wait, what?
まさかあれ、監
Forget
督の
it.
車ですか？
シオンさん。
大丈夫ですか、入江先生。
What happened to the pursuer? Hello? Like, wasn't the pursuer just right there? I'm so confused.
すぐ医者へ行かれた方がいい。
I get it because he's a doctor and you should see a doctor.
監督を診療所に連れてって、監督が自分で診察するわけですね。
Hi, doctor. You should go see a doctor for that.
Okay, anyways.
さあ、立てますか。診療所までお連れしましょう。
診療所は困ります。その崎家に行かな。
監督？ちょっとどういうことよ。まずいんじゃない？
Kasai looked at the car, then looked around the area. Then he whispered to Shion.
シオンさん、訳ありのようです。
Smart man.
どうしたの？
入江先生の車に弾痕が。
Very smart man. Very observant.
しかも拳銃とは思えません。
Oh, he even knows. Excuse me? What? My man.
そっち持って。
Oh?
ひとまず本家に連れて行こう。
Yes, please, yes, go. The two of them loaded Eerie into the back seat, got in the car, and left in a hurry.
監督に話を聞かないと状況がわかんないですね。診療所は困る。どういうことだろう。
診療所の何者
The
かに
big
追われた
Giga Chat safe.
どういう
Yes.
が話を聞くまでわかり
The
ません。
save of the century.
ただ、相当のヤバいことに巻き込まれたのは間違いないようです。
Oh, you'd be surprised.
あれ？どこ行くの？
Shion was confused as to why Kasai suddenly made a wrong turn.
敵は先生のタイヤを狙ってました。生かして捕らえるつもりです。私たちのすぐ近くに追っ手が迫っていたかもしれません。
ってことは追ってきてる？後方に遮影なし。上空この地形じゃ密着尾行以外は不可能でしょ。
念のためです。もう一度だけ左折したら本家へ直行します。申し訳ありませんが、シオンさんは後方監視をお願いします。
了解です。
保安より本部。標的は民間車両に拾われた模様。
God damn it.
車両ナンバーと車種を送る。
Oh, come on.
本部了解。捜索中のウグイスは民間車両に標的を変更。至急捜索せよ。入江所長は極力生きたままで確保。接触民間人も制圧せよ。ただし生死は問わない。
Yeah, you can go ahead and try, motherfucker.
大丈夫なの？すぐに見つかるの？
ご安心を。所長の白衣には発信機が。ウグイスの応援車両には測定器が積まれていますので、三角測定法で位置を検知できます。
Hold on. Hold on. Pause. Nope. I have the pause on that. Okay. The plot holes everywhere, man. There's plot holes everywhere. Why would you need to hurriedly capture him and go so far as to go in a car chase after him if there is a motherfucking tracking device on his coat? That seems kind of pointless, don't you think? Why don't you just slowly track him and find out where he's going? And then once he stops at that location, then you strike him. Right? Wouldn't you rather do that? And not risk it? I don't know. Whatever. Eri was lying in the back seat wearing his white coat. There was the device on his collar. The security department put it there just in case. So no matter how hard Shion tried to look for anyone following them, the enemy already knew exactly where they were. There was a map of Hinamizawa on the table in the security room. The path by the water mill led to a certain private property. It belonged to the Sonosaki family, and the Sonosaki residence was the only building in it.
Sansa!
あらあら、袋のネズミね。
こちら大鳥1、ウグイス、まだ突入するな。もうじき大鳥が合流する。合流してから一度に突入するぞ。ウグイス1、了解。
このぎ、ウグイスにさっさと突入させないと、相手に無駄な時間を与えるわよ。
感度あるし。
誰も私の言うことなんか聞かないんだから。
The Sonosaki family's basement had a security system which displayed images captured from the various security cameras on property. Of course, it wasn't as high-tech as the one at the Erie Institute. It was in the room on the second floor of the Gasho house, a Japanese-style room where you had to kneel to avoid hitting your head. With bundles of wires snaking away from the monitors, it felt like a hidden chamber. There was electricity and a phone nearby, and although it was a basement, it had all the basic amenities of the Sonosaki residence. At first, all the club members had watched the monitor curiously, but after a while it got too hot in such a tiny room. Mion and Rena stayed in the room to observe the monitor.
みーちゃん、なんだろう。車が入ってきたよ。
これは笠井さんの車だね。多分シオンでしょ。今日の祭りに合わせて遊びに来たってことだろうね。たくなんでこんな日に。空気の読めないやつ。
Their granny had been at the shrine since the early morning, so there was nobody upstairs to answer the door. And if Mion didn't answer it, Shion would think that nobody was home. Mion wondered if she should tell Shion what was going on. Shion could be helpful sometimes. Kasai's car stopped in front of the gate. Someone was getting out of it.
あれ？みーちゃん、あれ監督だよ。
They saw Shion and Kasai holding Eri on the monitor. Obviously, something serious must have happened.
行ってみよう。レナにケイちゃん、一緒に来て。サトコたちはここでモニターの監視。リカちゃんは表に出ちゃダメだよ。羽生はそれでも出てかないようリカちゃんの監視。
お任せですわ。なのです。みー、ひどいのですわ。
Maybe Okanogi had made the right decision. If he had let Nightingale go in as Takano had ordered, it would have been on the monitor. But Okanogi ordered them to stand by until another unit arrived, so they waited. So Mion didn't notice that the enemy was about to attack. By this time, there were many vehicles belonging to the mountain dogs parked by the windmill, Okanogi and Phoenix 1 had joined with Nightingale and they were getting ready to head in. However, it had been a good idea to leave Satoko to watch the monitor. And if Mion hadn't gone out, Eri would have been killed. Mion didn't know it yet, but Eri was their only hope of rescuing Tamatake. So as a result, entirely by circumstance, they did everything correctly.
おねえ、もう神社の方かな。シオン、お姉たちどっから来てんですか。さては地下にいましたね。あそこで遊んでるって鬼ババに言いつけますよ。んなことはどうでもいい。監督は監督、
まさかやられたのか。
ってことはお姉たちも訳ありのようですね。何が起こってるんです？
しーちゃん、話すからよく聞いて。実はね。
監督、何があったんですか。すみません。富武さんが山犬に捕まりました。診療所の地下区画に囚われているようです。私は逃げるときに奴らに追われて事故を起こしてしまい。
Eri explained everything he could while enduring the pain. Everyone was happy to see him safe, but Mion's expression quickly grew stern. Then she asked Shion a question.
追われてる。
尾行はなかったよ。
とにかく中へ。良くない雲行きです。
They heard the sound of a car approaching, and it wasn't alone. Who could it be at this time of day? It was a waste of precious seconds to even think that.
つけられてんじゃん、シオンのバカ。つけられてないもん、お姉のバカ。
Gasai picked up both sisters and ran through the gate.
地下へ急ぎましょう。あそこなら安全です。
ミオンさん、変な車がいっぱい来ますわよ。分かってる。地下に戻って。扉を閉めるよ。リカちゃんは？羽生さんと一緒に隠し部屋に入りましたわ。
ウグイス6標的を発見。R の友人数人も一緒です。
間違いないわ。あ、そうよね、ジローさん。
Tamatake was lying on the floor of the security room. His hands and legs were cuffed, and there was another pair of handcuffs to connect them, leaving him bent backwards on the floor. He couldn't get up or even turn around. Takano laughed and poked at Tamatake's side with the toe of her shoe. The mountain dogs climbed over the fence easily. There was no need for anyone to explain at this point. It was obvious that they were the enemy, and that they were the mountain dogs that Rika had spoken about many times. They went through the grove of trees and headed for the entrance of the underground storehouse. The first 5 mountain dogs were supposed to capture them all, but they fell down one after another. Just as one of the mountain dogs started to wonder why they fell, he felt something on his leg. The next moment, he was flying through the air. As he stood up, his leg got pulled again. He realized that there was a rope wrapped around his leg. Because of the way he fell, the rope was wrapped tightly around it. It wouldn't come off easily. Get booby-trapped, bitch. Totoko had set up lots of traps in the bushes. After all, she wouldn't just sit around all day on an empty property. The club members headed into the underground storehouse, one after another. The mountain dogs couldn't do anything, although they did see them. It was a heavy door, but when they put their strength together, it closed easily. Mion locked the door quickly, putting on the deadbolt for good measure.
これ大丈夫かな？破られないかな？
テレビには5台、6台、いえ、もっと映ってたかもしれませんわ。全部ワゴン車で、中には変な男たちがいっぱい。
簡単には破られないでしょうが、
荒事に慣れている連中です。過信しない方がいいでしょ
う。Before he could even finish speaking, someone pounded on the door. The second group of the mountain dogs had arrived. Although the heavy door was separating them, it wasn't at all comforting to know that the enemy was just on the other side of the door.
私の失態、すみません。
監督は何も失敗してないですよ。とにかく奥へ行こ
う。そうだな。監視カメラの様子で敵の人数を探ろうぜ。
ああ、はいはい。私はのけ者で事情もわからずいきなりクライマックスですよ。はい。
あ、もう。あんたには5分時間ができたら全部説明するから。
ウグイス1より大鳥1。標的は防空壕のようなところへ逃げ込んだ。扉は鋼鉄製、突破できない。
大鳥1了解。この園崎家ってやつはとんでもない金持ちだな。敷地が広すぎて包囲は不可能だ。包囲は断念。俺たちも突入に加わるぞ。ウグイスはその辺の倒木を探せ。大筒にして扉をぶち破る。
大鳥7より大鳥1、インドア用のプラ爆があります。準備しますか。
Plastic explosives are explosives for military use. There are various different kinds, but he was talking about the type specifically made to break down doors. Okanogi momentarily thought it was a good idea, but changed his mind right away. This was a small village. If there was an explosion, everybody would hear it. It was daytime and they were on the surface. It was the worst time and place for the mountain dogs to do their job.
さすがに爆破は無理だな。ああ？いや待て。今何時だ？
もうじき10時です。
使えるぞ。大鳥7、やるぞ。新艦を準備しろ。
は？隊長、どうして10時だと爆破が可能なんですか？
Okanogi's mind was working sharper than ever. He was sure that this would work. Everyone gathered in the secret room.
みんな、大丈夫なのですか？はわお、監視カメラを見てましたのです。敵は多分30人くらいいますのです。
そんなにかよ。やってくれるぜ。
ちょっとスイッチをいじるよ。連中立ち往生してるよ。
When Mion touched the switch, the screen switched to the view of the entrance to the basement. Some of the mountain dogs were checking out the door. They didn't appear to be trying to force it open. They were simply at a loss for words of what to do next.
向こうはどう打って出るでしょう。こっちを袋のネズミと思ってますもの。多分大勢で体当たりでもして無理やり破る気ですわ。
なんだこいつら、丸太なんか持ってきて。
どうやらあれで扉を打ち破ろうとしているようです。
今、サトコが袋のネズミだと言いました。なら、相手が扉を開けようと苦闘している間に、ここを脱出するべきだと思います。
同感です。それに、富武さんも助け出さないと。
そうだね。いくらここの壁が厚くても、敵に見つかったら価値はないと思う。レナも脱出する時だと思うな。
おねえ、この状況ならもうとっくに警察に電話できる段階じゃありません？
だね。一番最初の市民の権利を忘れてたよ。仮に警察のスパイに電話を聞かれたとしても、もうこの段階ではバレバレだしね。大石さんが駆けつけてくれるはずさ。
Mion picked up the phone. Why hadn't she thought about this earlier?
あれ
They cut the phone.
どうした？
They cut the phone line. Mion panicked as she tried to listen for the dial tone.
電話が、なんで？うんともすんとも言わない。
Yeah, they work fast.
ケーブルが切られたかもしれません。
And then suddenly everything went dark.
なん なんだろう、停電？
Well, not exactly. Kasai lit his cigarette lighter, and Mion turned her emergency flashlight on.
地下の弱点を突かれたね。でもこれだけ暗ければ敵だって簡単には。
Not exactly.
わかんないけど、多分暗闇でも見える機械
Night
とかあるんじゃない？
vision goggles! Woohoo! Oh my
持ってそうよ
god.
ね、あの連中。
ミオンさん、どうして敵は電気を切断しましたの？ただの嫌がらせ？
嫌がらせ以上の意味があるとすれば、ここのセキュリティを殺すこと。
あいつら扉を撫でてましたの。諦めたんじゃない。あっという間に壊す方法を持ってて、それを気づかれないためにカメラを壊そうと、それで電気を切ったんじゃ。
まさか爆破する気？
ってことは扉は一瞬で破られて、ここにもう砦の価値はねえってことじゃねえのか？
みーちゃん、今すぐにここを脱出しよう。さっき言ってた核シードの脱出口を教えて。こっちです、みんな。
Mion was getting confused amidst all the chaos. She hadn't underestimated the mountain dogs. She even considered that they would have some explosives. But she didn't think they would use them in Hinamizawa in broad daylight. Somebody will hear the explosion. Is there even such a thing as a silent explosive? No.
荒っぽい連中なんだろう。多少の危険は顧みないのかもしれないぜ。確かにこんな時代ですが、山犬は非常に慎重な奴らです。こんな真っ昼間に爆弾なんて。高野さんならともかく、あのお好みさんが許可するはずがない。
それでもぶち抜こうってのかい。いい度胸だよ。
レナはわかんないんだけど、音がしない鉄砲があるように、音がしない爆弾ってあるの？ないです。どんな爆弾もみんな似たような音がします。そうか、わかりましたわ。監督は綿流しの本部役員ですわよね。今日のお祭り、雨天延期の判断は？
確か今日の10時に決まって。あ、
まさか運動会と同じで。
木を隠すには森ってことね。
Rika knew Okanogi well. He would always complain about how he had to guard her like she was a princess. Rika had never expected Okanogi to be so sharp. That was why she was more frustrated than anyone else. The mountain dogs had quickly set explosives on the basement door. Long wires were connected to the explosives, and the mountain dogs were waiting on the other end, lying flat on the ground. One of the members was holding a detonation switch. All the wires were linked to it.
もうじき10時です。今朝連中に先生を撃たれた時はよ、よりによって今日かよと思ったよ。だが今は今日で助かったぜって思ってるぜ。
Okanogi had realized that he could use the festival effectively. He was going to make sure his enemies got what they deserved. On the morning of the village event, they use fireworks to let everyone know that an event is going to take place that day. This method is often used for track and field days at school. Since Watanagashi starts in the evening, the fireworks go up at 10 a.m. The fireworks, of course, make loud explosive noises. Since Hinamizawa is located in a ravine, the sound effects, the echoes, make it hard to figure out where it's coming from. And that was an advantage for the mountain dogs. A loud noise and a shock shook the ground like an earthquake. The explosion must have warped support beams everywhere. There was discomforting squeaky noises, and dust fell from the ceiling. It certainly was powerful. The The explosion must have blown the door wide open. An explosion that took place without anyone noticing it. Mion led everyone into one of the rocky caves. There was a well-hidden shaft in there. They called it a hidden well, but it was actually a very eerie vertical tunnel. They didn't have enough flashlights for everyone, so there was no way for them to see the entirety of this ominous hidden well.
こいつを降りろってのか。どこまで続いてるんだ。
だいぶ降りると途中に横穴があるの。そこを抜ければ山中の古井戸に抜けられるようになってる。ってことは、それについて一番詳しいお姉が先頭打者決定です。お先にどうぞ。私がトップ？他の誰がトップなんです？しんがりは私と葛西が務めます。早く行って。わかった。
Mion was going to volunteer to take the rear, but Mion and Shion knew instinctively. Because there were so many of them, the rear might not make it in time. Unlike the iron door at the entrance, once the enemies were inside, all they'd have to do was go through the inner doors, which was easily breakable. The route was basically a straight line. They probably won't get lost on their way. I would be very surprised if they were. That's why Shion took the rear guard position before Mion did. After all, she was actually the older sister. Shion wanted to protect her younger sister, who was playing the older sister in this real emergency. Mion intuitively knew what Shion was thinking. Mion understood well the relationship between her sister and herself. She wasn't the only one who felt guilty for taking the older sister's position. Shion felt guilty for making Mion take on that responsibility of the family head. And here, finally, was a chance for Shion to atone.
ミオンさん、武器庫の鍵を。今は開けるべき時です。
Mion silently threw over the key. Kasai and Shion took it and ran deep into the rock tunnel.
みんな聞いて。横穴まではだいたい30メートルちょっと。落ちたら底なしだよ。しかも真っ暗なんだからね。慎重に降りて。待機してる人はちゃんとはしごを照らしてあげること。一度にせいぜい1人か2人しか降りられないね。私が先陣を切る。照らしてて。
ミオンさん、気をつけて。照らす人も落ちないように。
If the lights were on, they could have gone down quickly. There were actually a few light bulbs inside the well. Of course, Mion had already checked for them. It was now certain that the enemy had cut the power to the basement. It was extremely dangerous to go down this well with just a little light from the flashlights. As one went down, there had to be people lighting up the way. Mion was right. She realized that as she went down herself, that it was almost impossible to go down the ladder without the weak light from the flashlights. The lights didn't reach all the way down. In the darkness, her feet suddenly became unsteady. Every step she took made her more nervous. It was about 30 meters to the horizontal tunnel. That's quite deep enough already. But the hidden well went deeper than that. If Mion fell, she wouldn't just injure herself. Hasn't it been 30 meters yet, she thought? She couldn't even remember exactly how long 30 meters was. Had she missed the horizontal tunnel already? At that time, she felt a cool breeze on her body. She could sense a huge hole nearby, so she took out a flashlight to light the surrounding area. She saw the black tunnel yawning before her. Mion lit up the wave from below.
よっしゃ、 次はリカちゃんだ。その次が監督で、次が羽生、佐藤な。どんどん降りろよ。
Yuri wanted to say that he would go last, but Rena gave the order first. They couldn't get into the basement of the clinic without Yuri. Without him, they couldn't rescue Tamatake. Their lives were all equally important, but at least for the moment, his was the second most vital after Rika.
気をつけてください。照らしています。
わかってる。みんなも急いで。
Rika was much shorter than Mion. She couldn't go down the ladder as easily. Her legs were too short, and her left foot slipped.
大丈夫。くそ。いつまで経っても成長できない人生なんてごめんよ。私は昭和58年6月を超える。そしてね、もっともっと身長が伸びるのよ。胸だってもっと大きくなる。いつまでもこんな子供の体なんて絶対にごめんなんだから。
Though she had been living for over 100 years, Rika was still afraid of heights. As she fought that fear, she tried to climb down as quickly as possible. After a while, the light from the top didn't reach her anymore, and Mion's light from below lit her way. Mion's light was enough. The next person could come down.
僕はもう大丈夫です。次、降りてきて。さ、次は監督なのです。大人ならキビキリ放り遊ばせ。
わかりました。先に行きます。
The mountain dogs moved forward carefully, wearing special goggles so they could see in the dark. The one in front noticed Satoko's trap and stopped the rest of the men.
ウグイス7よりウグイス1へワイヤー感応のトラップを発見。突入は慎重を要す。
ウグイス1了解。大鳥1トラップの痕跡少なからず通電を検討されては。
バカ野郎、そんなことしたら連中が逃げやすくなっちまうじゃねえか。向こうはこの暗闇で逃げるのもままならねえはずだ。俺たちに有利なフィールドを最大限に使うんだ。この暗闇で追い詰めて捕らえろ。これほどのでかい号だ。別に出口がきっとある。連中は隠れたりしないぞ。必ずそこから逃れようとするはずだ。突入班に火器と防弾盾、スタングレネードを与えろ。園崎家っていやヤクザの大御所だ。密輸拳銃くらいの反撃は想定しろよ。ってことはそのワイヤートラップもクライマー程度には注意しろってことだ。全身に1000個も鉛玉食らいたくなかったらな。全身バラバラになるぞ。
了解。
Satoko's traps were effective only because they were professionals. Satoko had assumed any professionals would misinterpret her traps as more dangerous ones. That's why she ran wires everywhere. And Satoko was right. Although the mountain dogs were successful at breaking down the door, they hadn't even reached the torture room. However, the huge cave with a hidden well was just on the other side of the door to the torture room. It was just a matter of time before the enemy caught them.
よっしゃ、次はレナだ。
ケイチ君も急いでね。
ケイちゃん、どんな感じですか？
ああ、今レナが降りてる。割とキリキリ降りられるみたいだぞ。
はいはい、焦って落ちないようにね。その井戸、歴代園崎家に逆らった連中の死体を捨てるのに使ったって噂もある底なしの井戸だそうですから。
シオン、お前なんだよ、その持ってるの。
Shion had returned with a big machine gun in her hands. Well, what the heck? Keiichi thought. It's one of those machine guns they use in the war movies. Its defining characteristic is the way the magazine is bent forward. What's it called again? Asai had one in his hands too. He appeared to be handling machine guns well. It almost didn't look real. But it seemed like a natural fit for this surreal world lit only by flashlights. Keiichi felt like the odd one out here, since he didn't know how to use a gun. Shion and Kasai hid on opposite sides of the cave so they could see the entrance to the torture room. Not only Kasai, but Shion also seemed to be used to be doing things like that.
シオン、その役は俺がやる。だから次はシオンが降りろ。
ケイちゃんの男のプライド、サンキューです。でも、ケイちゃんにカラシニコフの説明をするより、ケイちゃんの番になったらキリキリ降りてくれる方がロスタイムは少ないです。気にしないで。いい女は死なないから。
As Shion winked at Keiichi, they heard a door being knocked down nearby. Immediately, Shion and Kasai's look turned stern, and they took cover behind the rocks, aiming their guns at into the darkness. The enemies had entered the torture room. There was a flashlight next to the door. Kasai had left it there. The mountain dogs seemed to be able to see in the darkness, even though they couldn't. So it was an improvised solution. The footsteps of the mountain dogs were growing closer. They were passing through the torture room. In other words, the door was the only thing separating them from their enemies.
Get moving.
シオン、お前が先に降りろ。
シオンさん。
んで、ケイちゃんに譲って私だけ生き残ったら、私はお姉に一生恨まれますって。私の思い人はもういないけど、お姉にはいるもん。
は？お前、この忙しい時に何の？
死ぬ気はないけど、シオンに伝えて。私たち、また次の時も双子がいいね。
行け
Shion yelled, telling Keiichi to move on. He didn't understand why Shion said to tell Shion. But she asked him, so he had to convey that message. Otherwise, if something terrible really happened, Shion's message would never reach Mion. An explosion shook the air. Something was thrown in from the torture room. The explosion from that and the noise from Kasai's machine gun sounded at the same time. The clamor echoed in the cave. All I can do, as those violent flashes of light burn the series of images into my eyes, is shed tears over my own intolerable powerlessness, and climb down the ladder. Mion quickly screamed from below. I descended and screamed up to the top too.
ウグイス1、攻撃を受けた。敵は隠し部屋奥の大空洞内で阻止線を展開。マズルフラッシュは2、おそらく AK だ。
集団がうまいぞ、プロだ。大鳥1、指示を行う。
そう来なくっちゃな。相手はプロだぞ。キリングハウスの卒業生以外は突入するな。ウグイス1、2、大鳥7、8、突入準備。火器はいくつある？
MP5 が4、各種グレネード多数。防弾盾は突撃銃には信用できない。放棄する。
入ってすぐ脇に発光した懐中電灯が落ちている。おそらく向こうは暗視装備がないものと推定。
ウグイス1だ。突入は俺たちでやる。合図と同時にスタングレネードを放り込み、突入3回。
While the enemies were quiet, Kasai changed his magazine.
シオンさん、もう十分です。
I am so sorry if you can hear my cat. She is going through a withdrawal right now. I've stopped giving her milk.
言ってください。
Which you shouldn't be doing, by the way.
私が抜けたら、カサイが断層を変えている
It's like crack to them. Even though they necessarily do have crack that's called catnip. But still, she's going through withdrawals right now.
ツーマンセルが基本でしょ?
It's very annoying. There was a contradiction in what Shion just said. According to her theory, the last two can never escape. Mion kept shouting from the tunnel below. Everyone knows it wasn't safe to stay, but nobody could stop Mion from screaming.
俺とミオンはここでシオンを待つ。レナはみんなを連れて裏山に逃げてくれ。
わかった。
嫌よ。誰が欠けても嫌。
リカ。
これが最後の世界なのよ。ここで一つ後悔が残ったから、もう一度やり直そうというのはもうない。私は嫌よ。シオンが死んだり、カサイが死んだりする未来はごめんよ。もうやり直せないって知ってるから。嫌よ。いや絶対嫌。だからシオン、早く降りてきて。
As they looked up to the top of the well, they saw a violent flash and heard a roar. Then they heard explosive sounds, different from the sounds of the machine guns that Shion and Kasai were using. They also heard a tinkling sound, which could have been the sound of bullet shells. They couldn't see anything other than the flashing lights. Only the noise reached them. When everything stopped, after a little silence, footsteps that didn't belong to Shion or Kasai gathered at the top of the well. They could hear hard-soled shoes kicking the bullet shells as they walked.
Clear.
That voice echoed down the well, and Mion and the others heard it too. They didn't know how to react. Some became speechless, some started to cry, some let out a wordless scream. They looked up at the well as they waited for Shion and Kasai to come down, but there was no sign of them. A bright beam of light shone down from the top of the well. Iri grabbed Mion and Keiichi's collars and pulled them back, but they could see in the dark. They might already know that Keiichi and the others were hiding in that horizontal tunnel. A guy shouted from the top of the well.
Furude Rikaと診療所長入江京介を引き渡せ。君たちは誤解している。我々は特別な風土病を撲滅するためにやってきた。今回の件は所長がある陰謀に加担している可能性があるためだ。君たちには何の関係もない。おとなしく両名を引き渡せ。
They had already turned all the flashlights off, so nobody could tell what kind of expressions they were on each other's faces. But I could sense Mion's expression distorting. And because of the darkness, nobody knew to stop her from screaming.
この少女のことが、それが問題ならば安心。生きている。気絶してるだけだ。
生きてるってよ、
Mion didn't rest easy at their announcement, though, because she knew Mion's survival wouldn't help resolve this situation.
こっちの男も同じだ。生きてる。だが、両名の引き渡しを無駄に拒むなら、この二人を交渉に使わねばならないぞ。
何をする気？
As Mion looked up at the top of the well in the dark, it suddenly became very bright, and she saw something unbelievable. Shion was unconscious, and one of the men was holding her. He was basically sticking her body out over the edge of the well. If the man let go of Shion, she would fall to the bottom. They had no idea how far down it went. There was no way she'd survive. Shion didn't reply, but she moved just a little bit. Shion was alive, at least for the moment.
はったりだ。落とすわけねえ。
は？何を根拠に言ってんの？人質ってのはね、二人以上いる時に限り、いくらでも殺せるんだよ。上にはシオンとカサイさんがいる。奴はシオンを突き落として、もう一度こっちに同じ選択を迫れるんだよ。はったりなんかで言ってるんじゃないんだよ。
Mion lashed out fiercely at Keiichi. He regretted saying what he just did.
考える時間が必要なら与える。ただし、60秒経過したら最初の人質を突き落とす。よく考えて素早く決断しろ。
どうしよう。
Mion was half crazed with fear and panic.
敵の狙いは私です。リカさんは すでに脱出に成功したということにして、私だけが行きましょう。それで多分許してもらえるはずです。
That plan sounded like the best idea for minimizing damage, but Rena quietly spoke up.
ダメ。シーちゃんたちがレナたちの逃げ出す時間を稼いでくれたんだもん。監督が言ったら何のためにシーちゃんたちが頑張ってくれたかわかんなくなっちゃう。
じゃあ何？シオンに死ねって言うの？レナ、あんた、シオンが死んでもいいって言うの？あんたね、シオンは！
やめてくださいまし、ミオンさん。私だって胸が張り裂けだって、シオンさんは私のネーネーなのに。
Mion started to cry as she held Satoko's head. The mountain dogs' beam of light shone into the horizontal tunnel. Their eyes had grown used to the darkness, so even with the little light, they could sort of see one another. But so what? This was a desperate situation, and Mion and Satoko continued to cry. Rena bit her lower lip, trying to hold her feelings in. Eri simply looked down, and as for Rika and Hanyū, they were restless.
どうすればいいの？羽生、どうすればいいのかわからない。
僕にもどうすればいいかわかりませんです。
あんた神様でしょ。なんとかしてよ、なんとかしてよ。地通力とかで敵をやっつけてシオンを助けてよ。奇跡でも起こらなきゃ救えない。なら起こしてよ。神様のあなたが起こしてよ。
Slap. They all heard a strange sound. Everyone was surprised to see what caused it. Hanyū just slapped Rika in the face.
リカ、聞きなさい。
羽生。
私たちは共にあまたの世界を渡り、人の身では知り得ないことをいくつも知ってきました。ある時はあなたが教えられ、ある時は私が教えられ、いくつもの大切なことを学び、ようやくこの世界で最も大切なことを学び取りました。私たちが求めてやまず、そしてようやく得たもの、それが何かわかりますか？
It was how to make a miracle happen. A miracle is like a number you get on a die. People think that the result of the roll depends on God's mood. God holds the key to miracles. Humans don't have the right to control them. But, although humans don't have the right, they can perceive. They can perceive how to improve their odds, and how they can make a miracle happen.
奇跡の起こし方。
リカ、あなたはもう知っているはずです。私よりも先に知ったはずです。あなたが本当に大事にしたいこの最後の世界で。
Sorry. I just realized she wasn't finished talking. Oh well. Rika's mouth hung open. That's right, she thought. I had forgotten again how to make a miracle happen.
みんなは逃げてください。
Rika stood up. Everyone was surprised to hear what she said.
入江、みんなを頼みますです。高野は入江も僕も殺すでしょうが、僕の殺し方には高野なりのこだわりがあるはずなのです。だから多分しばらくは殺されないでしょう。
冗談じゃねえ。でも必ず殺されるってことじゃねえか。
僕が出ていかなければ今すぐシーたちは殺されます。なら僕が捕まっても、僕が殺されるまでの時間はきっと反撃のチャンスにもなりますです。リカちゃん、考えてみたら ても簡単なことだったのです。
As she spoke, Rika stepped out from the horizontal tunnel and reached the ladder. The beam of light shone down upon her. In this dark world, her figure seemed almost holy, like someone receiving a divine revelation.
だって僕たちは絶対に勝てるってみんな信じてるから。僕もみんなも、そして神様までも信じてるから。ニパー。
God damn it. Those long pauses always get me. Rika Smile told them that she trusted them 100%. She believed that someone would come to rescue her before she got killed. That was why she didn't mind letting the enemy capture her. If it would save Shion and Kasai's lives, then it was nothing.
今上がります。シンを引っ込めるのですよ。
The mountain dogs pulled Shion's body away from the edge of the well.
僕の仲間に指一本触れてみろ。舌を噛んで死んでやりますです。高野は自分の手で僕を殺したがってますから、お前たちは困ったことになりますですよ。
わかった。上がってこい。
僕の仲間をこのまま見逃すのです。どうせお前たちの計画でやがては全員死ぬのです。
その条件は飲めない。命は保証するが拘束する。
じゃあお気の毒さようなら。舌を噛むよりここで手を離した方が早いわね。この底は深いわよ。私の死体が出てこないと、それもまたお前たちが計画に困るんじゃない？
As long as they captured Rika, the mountain dogs didn't really care about the others. They were ready to kill the rest if they resisted once they had Rika. That's why they wouldn't agree to Rika's request. They started to think that maybe they should just lie to Rika. But that was when they heard something. Hanyū started to speak in a clear voice. It was a voice with a mysterious, very mysterious tone. It sounded like it was coming from below the surface of the earth, but it was also sounded like it was coming from the heavens. Hanyū spoke.
この私が取引に応じると言っている。ぐずぐず言わずに言う通りにせよ、ゲロ。フルでリカは上がる。それに対し、求めた小さな約束を履行せよ。天は自ら与えぬ者に与えることはない。人の身に過ぎた考えは不要。身に過ぎた偽りの罪に身の程を知れ。
Nightingale 1, the member who had been demanding their surrender, was suddenly overcome by a strange sensation. He had been in such an advantageous position, but somehow it didn't seem that way anymore. And that girl's voice, there was something strange about it. That voice belonged to something both holy and sacred. He instinctively sensed it. Humans can only negotiate with other humans. It's impossible to negotiate with a being greater than all humans.
待て、隊長に相談する。そのままで待て。風具イスワンより大鳥ワン。
He had been very threatening until just a minute previous, but he had grown completely perplexed. Everyone was stunned by Rika and Hanyū's mysterious auras.
必ずすぐ助け出すからね。
Rena muttered as she tried to hold back her tears.
貴様らの条件を飲もう。この場は見逃す。フルでリカは上がれ。高野三佐がお前に用があると言っている。
では行ってきますですよ。ニパー。
探しましたんで、リカさん。あなたは大事な身なんですから、急に姿を消されちゃたまりませんね。こいつは、ルール違反です。では、リカさんは診療所に来てもらいましょう。お前たちは行け。
The assault unit that led Rika away headed back into the basement. They were about to break the rules, too.
約束を破る気ね。
約束？そりゃ何の話ですんね。おっと、つったら本当に舌を噛まれちゃ叶いませんわ。おい。
As Rika tried to run, Okanogi grabbed her fragile arm. She fought back, but her resistance meant nothing against him. One of the mountain dogs took out a syringe from a case. It shouldn't kill her, but it would probably put Rika to sleep. Akano, after all, didn't need a chatty Rika. She just needed a live queen carrier. If Rika got that shot, that will mean the end of this world. Before Rika could scream, the other dog covered her mouth. The dog with the syringe drew closer to Rika's arm. Rika was being grabbed from behind, and her mouth was covered. There was no way for her to fight. I believe. Even if I'm asleep, I believe. Rika kept repeating that in her mind. She believed that someone would wake her up, and that the first thing she'd see when she opened her eyes would be her beloved friends. It happened all of a sudden. The man with the syringe spun twice in the air and dropped to the ground. Nobody, including Okanogi, could understand this sudden phenomenon. It defied the very laws of physics. Rika couldn't understand either. The man who was holding Rika from behind spoke up. His voice had such a heavy feeling imbued in it. The others took a few steps back, away from Rika and the man holding her. There are many units within the Mountain Dogs, so often its members don't remember each other's faces. There were just too many units, so nobody really paid attention. All the Mountain Dogs were more or less well built, but this man had an excellent physique. Even Okanogi noticed that he'd never seen anyone like that in one of his units before. Rather, he actually wanted to recruit him. But... Sorry. I'm pretty sure you read that right. Hell yeah. And that's where we end it, folks. Cliffhangers. That was a very long recording. I will not lie. Holy crap, that's my second time recording this son of a bitch, because for some reason my computer decided to freeze mid-recording and I lost an hour worth of footage. I was so pissed off. So that's why I didn't really give much, commentary, as you may have noticed in, most of it. Yeah. Oh, God. Editing is gonna be a bitch. But, yeah. Very long video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I had no way of ending it because it really didn't give me much, options to end it. So I had to just keep on going. I'm so flustered and annoyed and oh my god, so many emotions anyway. Enjoy the very long episode here, the video of Higurashi. Next one, I hope will be short. Probably not, though, because of the pacing. But we will see. But it was an excellent video nonetheless. Yeah. It actually holds true to the anime too, actually. A lot of that I remember from the anime. So that was pretty neat to relive that, basically. Pretty neat. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because there will be more Higurashi coming up soon, as we draw even closer to the end of Higurashi when they cry. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all next time. Right? And remember, stay sinful, folks. Bye-bye.